Hey, it's Midnight Raven, and today we're going to be doing, as you can see, a tier list. And today we're going to be ranking serial killers. So this came as an idea from a friend called Zero, who suggested I rank serial killers. So I don't know whether YouTube will like this content or even show this content. I don't even know if it's been done on YouTube. So today we're going to be ranking serial killers. Now, I'm not ranking them on a like a fun basis. This is a serious list. I have a playlist on my channel of serial killers. I have an avid interest in serial killers, and in my eyes, it's all in good fun. So if you look on here, we have a bunch of serial killers, both men and women. I've gone for both. So before people start saying all men are serial killers, no, women are serial killers too. So like I said, down the bottom here, we have serial killers, and we are ranking them as legend, a master, an okay, or a wannabe serial killer. So let's take a look. I'm going to give you some information about the serial killers so that you can make your own minds up, and then I want you to share in the comments what you think about each of these serial killers. So the first serial killer we're going to do is Edmund Kemper. So here is a serial killer. He murdered 6 women in Santa Cruz, California, along with members of his own family. His grandparents at the age of 15 and his mother shortly after. He was arrested in 1973 and charged with 8 counts of murder and was sentenced to 8 concurrent life sentences. So he killed not only people, but he also killed his family. Now, I don't know about you or whether you could ever muster up the courage to kill your own family members. Killing random people, maybe, but your own family, in my eyes, is not all right. So for me, Edmund Kemper down here, he didn't kill a huge amount of people, which I'm not glorifying. But in my eyes, he did kill quite a few people. So we're going to put him in an okay serial killer. He's an okay. Killing your family doesn't make you a legend, in my eyes. Okay, so the next serial killer we're looking at is obviously one that hit the headlines big, and that would be Charles Manson. So Charles Manson was around in the 1960s. He had a cult who recruited followers to carry out his deeds. That included murdering the famous actress Sharon Tate while she was pregnant. And he tried to start a race war using the album that the Beatles made called Helter Skelter. He proclaimed that there was going to be a race war. The whole world was going to change. He was sentenced to death in 1971, although he never killed a person himself. He never actually killed anyone. But his sentence of death was changed to life in prison, and he died of natural causes in 2017. In total, they killed people, but he never actually killed anyone. He ordered people to be killed, but the actual killing was not done by him. There is no record of Manson actually killing anyone. He may have instigated it, he may have influenced it, but he never actually killed anybody. So in my eyes, does that make you a serial killer if you haven't killed anybody? For me, I would put him in a master because, and hear me out, he didn't actually kill anyone with his own 2 hands. In my eyes, to be a legend or an icon of serial killers, you have to have actually killed somebody yourself. You can't just, take the crown and say, well, other people killed them. No. You have to kill them yourself. I'm sorry. The rule is, if you're going to proclaim you're a serial killer, you need to kill people, okay? So next is Albert Fish. He is suspected of killing 5 people during his lifetime. He confessed to 3 murders, by stabbing them, and at least 2 other people died, but he was never charged with their murder. He was apprehended in December the 13th, 1934, was put on trial for the kidnapping and murder of a woman called Grace Budd. He then confessed to killing 2 other people, but in total it is believed that he killed 5. He is an American serial killer, rapist, and supposed cannibal. He's known as the Werewolf of Wisteria. So he didn't kill a huge amount of people. And in all honesty, until I Googled him, I hadn't really heard about him as a serial killer. He isn't one that I know a lot about. So for me, we're going to put him in a wannabe serial killer. Because if I don't know him and I've researched loads of serial killers and he hasn't pinged up in my serial killer list, he's kind of low down on the serial killers. Not that isn't important to other people that he's on the serial killer list, but to me, he's just not on it. So the next person we're going to look at is one that had a Netflix program dedicated to him, and that is Richard Ramirez. So he was known as the Night Stalker. There is a documentary on Netflix. Whether it is still there, I don't know, but there was a documentary done on him. He killed 14 people. He also raped and tortured them in the years of 1980s. He was brought to prison the same year in 1985 and lived out the rest of his days in the San Quinto prison before dying of cancer in 2013. So he targeted people and he killed 13, which isn't a huge thing for a serial killer, but it is a mass amount of numbers. He was chased all over San Quentin, and the fact that he killed people in the dead of night is kind of creepy. So let's put Richard Ramirez in the master. So he did get away with quite a lot for quite a long time, and that, I don't say it takes some doing to be a serial killer, but to stay under the radar and kill 14 people is kind of, Next, we're looking at David Berkowitz. So he is known as the Son of Sam. There's also a Netflix program done on him. He claimed he received messages from a demon-possessed dog. Yes, you had that right, to kill 6 people between 76 and 77. He was arrested on August the 10th, 77, and was sentenced to 25 years to life. While in prison, he became an evangelical Christian and sought basically forgiveness. He is reportedly had to undergo heart surgery in 2018. And I believe he is still alive. I'm not quite sure if he's alive or dead. But he did murder 6 people. But his murders were done because he said a dog told him to do it. Does that make you a serial killer? If you're claiming you're hearing voices, a demon-possessed dog made him kill people, I'm going to put him in the okay. Because a demon-possessed dog, I mean, I could say that there's voices in my head telling me to do stuff, but proving that kind of thing is different. Okay, so next on the line we have is Ed Gein. Okay, so Ed Gein is another serial killer that hit the headlines back in the day. Let me just find the information for you so I can give you the facts. So Ed Gein was known as the Butcher of Plainfield. He was an alcoholic. He had a really close connection to his mother until she died from being ill. He then decided that he was going to go to graveyards where he would rob graveyards and steal their bodies, steal their skin, and then sell the bones on for science. His gravestone was actually stolen in 2000. He pleaded guilty due to insanity, and I do not have any qualms about him pleading insanity. He was diagnosed with schizophrenia, and he used to take the skin, and he killed a lot of people. First of all, he would take the bodies from graveyards, and then when he couldn't get enough bodies from graveyards, he started to kill people. So he didn't start off as a serial killer, but the need to kill then became a thing, so then he had to kill people. So he's not what I call a true serial killer, because he didn't kill people first. He went to graves and stole their bodies. Then he killed people. So in my eyes, he's a wannabe serial killer, because although he did kill people, he did go to graves first. He didn't just instantly kill somebody. He worked up to it. And in my eyes, a true born serial killer would just kill people. They wouldn't go for the graves first. Although if you want to go under the radar and kill people, stealing their bones from graveyards is like the step up to then killing people. That's just my personal theory on that. I'm sure everybody else will beg to differ on that theory. Next, we have... Who do we have next? Oh, coming up, we have Elizabeth Bathory. So she was a prominent noble in France. She, in Hungary, sorry. She decided that she was going to kill and torture her victims and then steal and drain their blood. Oh, yes. She was arrested but spared execution and basically put in exile. She's named as one of the most prolific female murderers in history due to the severity of the killings, how many she killed, and basically the fact that she had no guilt, no remorse, and she basically didn't care. She's often compared to Vlad the Impaler on the lack of empathy and just the brutality of the people she killed. So she killed both men and women. She would murder, torture them, steal their blood, because she used to bath in the blood because she thought it would give her youthfulness. You can't make this up. So for me, Elizabeth Bathory, she killed quite a lot of people. I would put her in legend. She is the only woman on this list, but just her, I want to say, balls to kill people like that. She did have a hand in some of the killings. She has been known to slit some throats, but she didn't partake in all the killings. Usually it was orchestrated and she ordered people to be killed. So she didn't necessarily kill all of them, but I know she had a hand in some of them. Next, we have Gillies de Reyes. So this one I don't know too much about. But he was born on the 4th of September, 1404. He was a lord and a knight of Anjou, and became an infamous killer of children. So he was sentenced to death and hanged for the murder of many, many, many. From what I can gather, he murdered 300 children. Some boys, mostly boys, and some girls. All for his prolific paedophiliac sense, basically. He was known as one of the world's biggest paedophiles back in the day, and he killed quite a lot of people. Unfortunately, they were children, and it's not a thing you really want to be known for. So we're just going to put him in okay. We are not glorifying the murder of 300 children. But he did kill them, and he is possibly the most prolific paedophile in the world. He's not the most well-known serial killer in the world, but he is a known serial killer. Okay, next we have one of my favorite, and if you can say you have a favorite serial killer, not on the fact that he killed people, but how he killed people. H.H. Holmes constructed the Hotel of Death, basically. He killed around 200 people using his hotel called the Murder Castle where he constructed a massive hotel with secret doors, secret entrances, secret chutes, secret furnaces. He would have guests to the hotel and they would mysteriously disappear. They would follow these little secret walkways and corridors where he would murder people. He was arrested in 1894 and then he was hung just 2 years later. Like I said, he constructed a hotel. He killed around 200 people. This guy thought about how he was killing people. He had chutes take all the bodies down to the basement where they were then cremated. He thought out his act to a T, and for that, he is a legend. He constructed one of the most sophisticated murder scenarios I've ever seen. His dedication, if you want to call it that, to how he constructed his murders, how they played out. But unfortunately, you kill 200 people. Some people are going to notice. Next, we are looking at another legendary serial killer in my eyes, and that is Jack the Ripper. Although Jack the Ripper's identity has never been found out, he was known during 1888 through the months of August to November to have killed at least 5 prostitutes near Whitechapel in London, England. He was never identified and no one has been arrested. Today, the murder still remains open. This criminal case has been looked at numerous times. The fact he managed to kill 5 people and stay under the radar, there are theories of who killed these women. There are theories that it was a butcher, a surgeon, that it had to be someone that knew what they were doing when it came to taking away women's organs. He cut out their womb. He took their liver. It was also suggested that he may be a cannibal. When he took the organs, he would then eat them, but I don't know if that's entirely true. That's more hearsay, probably to make it a more macabre situation. But in my eyes, Jack the Ripper is a legend because although he didn't kill many people, he is possibly the most famous serial killer ever, but is nameless. And that takes some doing in my eyes. So next we have another serial killer that made the headlines, made the TV, and that is Jeffrey Dahmer. He is a cannibal. He was born between, his killings were between 78 and 1991. He killed 17 men. After killing these men, he would engage in some vile acts. I'm not going to describe them with the corpses. He would then dismember their bodies. He was sentenced to 16 life terms in 1991 and was killed in 1994 by a fellow prisoner at his jail. So he killed 17 men. He apparently performed sexual acts. He even claims to have eaten some of their organs. Kind of a Hannibal Lecter thing going on there. So he was actually killed by another cellmate. Some might call that karma. So for me, Jeffrey Dahmer is an okay serial killer. He's not one that I read into. He's not really interested. In all honesty, I'm not into cannibalism and that kind of macabre sexual act on a corpse. In my eyes, that's a bit... so less of that. Next, we are going to go to another serial killer that made the headlines, and that is John Wayne Gacy. So John Wayne Gacy, before he became a serial killer, was quite a well-loved person in his community. But he would go on to kill 33 boys and young men in Cook County, Illinois. He was convicted of sexual assault in 1968, arrested, but then let go. And then at this point, his murders that he had done over the previous years were unearthed. He was executed by lethal injection in 1994. He also had a habit of dressing up as a clown and performing at kids' birthday parties. And then he would murder small boys and young men. It's a horrible, horrible, horrible scenario. A kid's birthday party and then, just no. So he is, I'd have to put him in a master. He did kill a huge amount of people before being caught. And in this day and age with forensics and technology, you'd be hard-pressed to kill one person and not be caught. Back then, obviously, technology wasn't good. There was no DNA testing. So it kind of went under the radar. But it didn't go under the radar for very long. And the last person we're going to look at today is Ted Bundy. So Ted Bundy, again, was another serial killer that hit the headlines. Ted Bundy admitted to killing 36 women across the United States during the 1970s. And although the number may be high, he does claim he killed more people. If I'm rightly thinking 36 women would probably be enough, but he was finally convicted in 1978 after escaping not once, but twice. Oh, yeah, he escaped twice before finally being sent to prison, and he was electrocuted by an electric chair in 1989, although he continued to claim he killed more women across the states. He used his allure of being who he was to seduce women and then murdering them. So in my eyes, Ted Bundy, I like Ted Bundy as a serial killer. His suave, his sophistication, his arrogance that he could get any woman, basically interested me. And he was one of the first serial killers I looked at, one of the first serial killers I researched, because his name was everywhere. When you look up serial killers, Ted Bundy is the one that comes up. The only reason I'm not doing this guy down here is because I don't know who he is and I couldn't find any information on him. So if you know who the serial killer is down the bottom here in this picture, down here, then let me know, because I couldn't find anything. So here we have my ranking of serial killers. So what do we think? So in the legend, we've got Elizabeth Bathory, H.H. Holmes, we've got Jack the Ripper, and we have Ted Bundy. In Master, we have Charles Manson, Richard Ramirez, and Ed Gein. In the OK section, we have Edmund Kemper, son of Sam, Gillies de Reyes, and Jeffrey Dahmer. And then in the Wannabe, we have Albert Fish and Ed Gein. So hopefully you have got some kind of interest in this video, and if that has made you interested in serial killers, I have a playlist of serial killers, unsolved crimes and murders on my channel. I will link that in the description. If you want to see more from me, give me a big thumbs up, comment down below how would you rank these serial killers. This is not meant to be making fun at serial killers. This is meant to be an in-depth look into the life of serial killers and how I believe that they have been portrayed. And this is my ranking of how they should be seen in history. So if you want to see more, like, subscribe, big thumbs up, and I will see you very soon for another video. Take care and thanks for watching. Bye, guys.